My name is Sam Jenks, and welcome to another episode of The Way We Source, a podcast hosted by Kodiak Hub, where we share our talks with procurement practitioners, leaders, experts, consultants, content gurus, and people that we find downright inspiring, diving into the role that sourcing and procurement plays in the way we live. If you like today's episode, make sure to rate the program and give us a follow. Today's guest is a rising force in sustainable procurement, as well as procurement technology. She's a former DuPont exec who helped steer one of the biggest mergers and now leads one of the most exciting startups in the space of procuretech. As CEO of Kloopify, she's on a mission to give procurement teams the data and tools they need to make smarter, greener decisions. Award-winning, spreadsheet-scarred, and sustainability-obsessed, please welcome the brilliant Daniela Osio. Daniela, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sam, for having me. I'm excited to be here. Catch up again. It's been a minute.
Yeah, for sure. And you are actually one of the few selected Hall of Fame episodes. We're welcoming you back for a second time to see how progress has gone. We spoke to you in the very early days of Kloopify, did we not?
We did. It was early days. And since then, like any good startup, a lot has happened. A lot has changed. We've evolved. We focused on driving value. And I'm excited to tell you more about it.
Looking forward to it. When you started Kloopify, what are some of the biggest learnings, if you could be able to go back to that time that you started, that you know today that you would have maybe done differently?
Listen, I think even the mistakes are a super blessing because we learn from those to continue to move forward. But the biggest kind of lesson I would tell myself or piece of advice is don't fall in love with your idea, fall in love with driving value for the client. And so many times when you start a company, you have this big vision of what it's going to be and all the things we can achieve. And yes, that is so core and you want to stay true to like your mission and vision, but you have to be obsessed with driving value for the client. And so that means being able to get new information, change your mind, adjust the plan, and focus on delivering value.
Such good advice. Let's rewind a bit, all right? You are a practitioner turned founder. What was the turning point that made you go from working in a global supply chain role at DuPont to launching a procuretech company?
Yeah. To be honest, I wanted to build a solution that would have empowered me as a practitioner. I love procurement. I studied supply chain management in college. My favorite class was procurement. So I fell in love with the space and I saw so many opportunities to drive innovation, technology, and to make my life easier as a practitioner so that I could continue to kind of build off of the shoulders of so many procurement leaders that had come before me that had continued to elevate the function as a whole, right? When I first started to talk about procurement and would even talk with friends and family, they'd be like, oh, they're the ones that just like write the POs, right? Like they're just kind of like in the corner. And by the time that I left kind of DuPont to start Kloopify, it had already elevated to be kind of seen as a strategic function in those progressive and advanced companies. But there were still opportunities to make it, to elevate it even further and to leverage technology as a catalyst. And so pandemic took inventory of my life, left corporate America, and took on the risk of solving kind of a meaningful problem for procurement by procurement. Right. And so it was always designed, and the heart of Kloopify has always been, how can we support procurement? How can we elevate procurement? How can we give you the tools, the technology to continue to drive value and go and be a strategic partner to the organization?
Yeah, amazing story. And I think that that pandemic definitely had a lot of people taking inventory of their lives. Awesome that you also acted upon it. You said there, by procurement for procurement. What exactly were procurement leaders missing, or what were you missing that you realized was a tool that was necessary in the market that you didn't already see out there?
Yeah. Well, let's rewind even to when I started Kloopify, which is 2021, 2022, right? So that's when the idea started bubbling in my head. in 2021 and 2022, sustainability was a key priority for CPOs because 98% of every S&P 500 CEO had made very aggressive and public sustainability declarations. And so what we had in procurement is we had risk management tools and supplier assessment tools. But when you make a decarbonization goal, like I'm going to be net zero, I'm going to achieve net zero by 2030, or you name a goal, you name a date, what comes down to it is that you've got to understand what the impact is of the goods and services that you buy. So when we started, it was really focused on giving visibility to the impact of the individual products that you are procuring, whether that's from Amazon or Google or Dow or DuPont, whatever it is, and then help you understand what are the driving factors of impact. So we take these goods and we disassemble them kind of to understand, hey, is it energy? Is it the bill of material? What material that you are buying of that good and service is driving the impact so that you can achieve that impact reduction goal. And so that is really the start of the Kloopify journey, is this focus on sustainability, because CPOs were then, CEOs were telling CPOs, chief procurement officers, you've got to help me do this because 80% of the footprint comes from procurement. You are what you eat, you are what you buy. And then they would look at us and say, okay, so how are we going to do this? We didn't have the data, we didn't have the technology, we didn't have the visibility. Well, fast forward to 2025, and the priorities of procurement and chief procurement officers have continued to evolve. We are seeing a lot of market disruptions. We're seeing tariffs. We're seeing price increases. We still haven't recovered from inflationary price kind of increases that happened during the pandemic. And the priorities of CPOs have evolved to reflect that kind of change in the market. So we've taken this engine at Kloopify that we built in 2022 that looked at products and looked at its subcomponents, and now married it with other elements that are really important to procurement, like costing, to drive year-over-year cost savings. And it's always been about marrying the two things because those two things go hand in hand. Sustainability and cost, they go hand in hand. But now we've taken this engine, and now for every product, every SKU, everything that you buy, your supplier is going to give you the price, but we're going to tell you exactly what it costs that supplier to manufacture that product. So you'll know, hey, if industry margins are 15%, why are you charging me 45%? If the price of oil has gone down since the pandemic, why have I not seen those price kind of decreases? So we've taken this engine and continue to expand, all in the essence of for procurement, by procurement.
Yeah, excellent to be able to hear the story. And also, like you said, right, the daring nature that is required when founding, especially in a startup or scale up environment, to be able to deviate from the initial thought that a founder has and listen to the market, listen to the client, listen to the needs. Do you think it's concerning the way that businesses are not turning their back to sustainability, but there's an obvious shift, and I think that it's from the administration down, right, at the way that we look at ESG and DEI and items that were, of course, top of the agenda for businesses just 2 to 4 years ago. Are you concerned by this? Do you see a change?
I think the ones that were investing in sustainability were doing it because they saw it as a revenue generating function, and that revenue generating function still hasn't gone away. Consumers are still requesting it. The goal of tomorrow, and I think that the mistake that sustainability made along the way, was not marrying sustainability to costing. Agreed. And not having these two things come together, because there was the fallacy that you had to pay more in order to be more sustainable.
Yes.
And that isn't necessarily true. Now, there are instances where you're going to have to pay more for sustainable products, but there are times where that's not true. And so I still see companies, maybe they don't call it ESG, maybe they don't call it D&I, maybe they're calling it something else to not receive the backlash from the federal administration, especially here in the United States. But the ones that started investing in sustainability did it because they knew they were going to be able to make money from it and differentiate themselves. I think the pendulum is going to swing back to the middle. I think we went from one extreme to now the other extreme, and we're going to find somewhere in the middle. My hope is that, we don't make the same mistakes that we made before when we were talking about sustainability, and we don't do the same. We don't do it the same way. That we really focus on how can we generate value, how can we generate revenue, and how can we embed sustainability into the day-to-day activities by leveraging data, by leveraging technology, by leveraging AI. And AI is a huge catalyst to be able to gain visibility, to build intelligence into solutions that it's going to make it super valuable for procurement moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's touch upon it. It's the flavor of the day. You can't have a podcast, go to a event, have a conversation with a customer or a prospect without it. AI. Everyone's asking what's on your AI roadmap. We have spoken about it prior, and you've challenged a little bit of AI, as I think that many founders do as well. But at the same time, we all recognize that it's necessary. What do you think the procurement teams are right now getting right about AI, and what do you also think that they're getting wrong? So a two-pronged question there.
Yeah. Well, let me start by saying, AI is not a silver bullet. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, right? You really need to deeply understand the problem in order to know how to apply AI to help you solve this problem, either more efficiently or more effectively, or be able to kind of scale a solution that you have. So even as someone who says AI is not the silver bullet, within our processes internally, like as a team, we use AI, and within our technology, it is, the AI is baked into how we build, how we, what the future of our solution looks like. So we'll have this kind of AI roadmap, but we are obsessed with solving a problem for procurement versus being obsessed with just grabbing the newest AI technology and just shoving it into the solution. And so I think what procurement is getting right about AI is that we're not turning away from it. There's been so many times that new technology comes and procurement's like, I'm going to wait until it's fully flushed out in 3 or 4 years, and then I'm going to come back and then I'm going to start using it. And I see a different trend in procurement. I see a more kind of experimental, and we want to take risks, and we want to try, and we want to go out and see how we can leverage it. And we've had success doing that, right? You can see that in contract management. You'll see agents that are starting to pop up, and they're driving value for specific roles and jobs. And I think that is really, really exciting. What we're getting wrong is that we think that we're just going to build agents for everything and it's going to work perfectly and there's going to be no problems. We still need a foundation where it's almost like you build the intelligence. You need to build the foundation in order for the intelligence to sit on top. And that means our data needs to be right. Our algorithms need to be right. Our foundation of how we train these agents needs to be stronger than ever, because you're going to have the same way, like you have employees that are super high performing and you've got employees that are not that high performing. You're going to have the same come out from this whole kind of AI agent discussion. And it's going to be based on how well you train them on the training data that they have. And so that's going to be really important to understand that not every agent is created the same. Not every solution can be solved with an agent. But I love the fact that we're having these conversations in procurement. It makes me excited because historically we've been risk adverse. And I'm seeing procurement really kind of raise their hand and say, there's a real opportunity for AI in the industry. And that's really exciting.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time to be able to be in the space, whether you're on our side, which is the vendor side, or the practitioner side for sure. And I think that the narrative is also changing in not only in procurement teams, but also in businesses broadly, encouraging whether you're in procurement or in sales or marketing, finance, ops, to go and investigate, go and experiment. And I think that it's an exciting time from that perspective as well. Now, let's talk a little bit about the 2025 volatility. You talked about it before, right? As I said at my ISM presentation, which was a few weeks ago, congratulations to everyone here. Now, of course, after a global pandemic, tariffs, as well as then, of course, resource shortages and war, we're finally getting this seat at the table that we all like to whine about on LinkedIn. I'm just curious, what do you think that procurement teams has as their kind of next initiatives that they need to be able to tackle? Tariffs are on everybody's mind right now. How are people going to tackle this particular item?
Yeah, I think the question is not if we will have another disruption, but when and what will that next disruption be?
Right.
So the key to procurement's ongoing value is going to be around building resilience and visibility and flexibility into their supply chain. So being able to see tier one suppliers, being able to see what's happening throughout their supply chain, is going to be critical. And it's the same visibility that's needed to manage tariff disruptions that's going to help you understand, well, what if the tariff with China on aluminum goes up 120%, or with Canada or with Mexico, and being able to see how that's going to kind of and map out how that's going to affect your supply chain, your bottom line, see things before the CFO comes to you. And when the CFO comes to you, not taking a month and a half to respond, because these things are moving almost on a daily basis.
Yes.
That you need to have the ability to get that visibility, understand the impact, map it out, talk to your CFO in a matter of days, not weeks, not months, right? And so being quicker is going to be, being more agile is going to be critical. And listen, today it's tariffs, tomorrow it's labor rates, the next day it's commodity shortages, right? So it's not just about setting a foundation or building some sort of internal tariff calculator. It's about getting the visibility that you need from a bottoms up, from a SKU level, from, and being able to then roll it up to the top, so that you can create what we like to do at Kloopify, create these kind of micro forecasts on top of your current baseline to say, what if labor rates in Indonesia go up 20%? Or what if aluminum prices go down, 30? What does that mean for me? How can I unlock that? How can I move quickly in a world that is not waiting for us? It's not waiting for us to create that spreadsheet. It's not waiting for us to, send the emails and have the stage gate meeting about the stage gate meeting before we present it to the CFO.
Right.
It's saying we've got to know now, and we've got to be able to make decisions quickly. And so I think that's really important in kind of in these crazy times that honestly are just not going to get any better. It's just going to continue to be like this. This is our new status quo.
I totally agree. And I think that, like you said, tariffs are the flavor of the week this week. It's going to change very soon and fast, just in the same way that, life is changing fast. I mean, the adoption rates of AI, you look at it just a year ago, I can't remember the exact stat, but I saw a Gartner stat that was shocking. I think it was 33% of procurement organizations are looking to implement in their tech stacks, whereas last year it was less than 1%. It's unreal, and are doing so actively. When it comes to, this agility factor, going fast, right? Do you see some type of differentiating factor in the early adopters, those that are really getting it and doing it well, those that are grabbing technology with both hands versus the laggards? Because every, kind of, I would say, industry and or function is going to have those kind of that bell curve, right, of early adopters, the rest of the pack, and the laggards. Do you see a differentiating factor for those that are high performing organizations that you guys are working with that are grabbing tech with both hands?
Yeah. Listen, it's not just, I think history actually has shown us what happens when you wait and see. Blockbuster, Blackberries, all these things that we had in the past that were critical and were winning markets didn't win. Why? Not because they, didn't have great, intelligent people at their teams, and because they didn't, have a foundation and a history that could have continued to take them into the future. They didn't win because they didn't adapt and they didn't pick their head up, look around and say, what are the best of the best doing? And where is the puck going? We're not playing where the puck is today. We're playing where the puck is going. And so the truth is not, will you survive, but can you survive if you don't bring this in? If you start now, you'll have the opportunity to co-design with the latest and the greatest kind of technology solutions. You'll be able to have worked out all the kinks and the bugs. You'll have trained your team. You have run through the change management, and you'll be ready for it when you need to make those quick decisions. The people that don't move quickly, the people that wait, those are the people that are going to be trying to play catch up. They're going to pay consultants millions of dollars to come in and do some sort of huge transformation thing that ends up falling flat. Their CEO is going to look at them and say, why are our numbers not reflecting the ones that other people are having? Because other people are having better customer experiences. They're listening and they're being able to deploy and make decisions faster. They're going to be the ones that during the pandemic reserved air freight because it was the only mode of transportation that was able to move product. And so they made billions of dollars while others had to mark the years of the pandemic as major losses.
Right.
Can your company survive it? Yeah. And history has shown us if you don't move towards the future, if you don't look at what's coming, you're going to be left behind.
Well, it's back to the, it's like the Churchill quote, never let a good crisis go to waste. And I think that what we're seeing is some businesses are going to tighten their purse strings and others are going to invest through the crisis. I'm curious when you see, because you mentioned it there, co-create with the most cutting edge technology solutions that are out there. And I'm sure that you see that within your customer base. I know that we do as well. Yeah. What's one thing that, for example, has helped you guys to move the needle that has come from the market or a customer? Just if you could break it down for us. Is there a particular feature or capability of your product or overarching kind of mindset shift that you guys had that you were driven by the market?
And absolutely, Sam. It is one of those things that this yes and moment didn't come from internal Kloopify. It came from our existing client base that said, you've already got our country of origin information. You're already getting our SKU level kind of product information. You're already breaking it up into its subcomponents to drive impact. Can you please leverage it like with this tariff situation and with costing? Because I am underwater and you have AI at your disposal. You building this incredible technology. Can you accelerate this kind of a roadmap that we had to bring this costing? Can you accelerate forward? That's thanks to the brilliance of our customers and picking our head up and asking questions like, how are things going in the business? What's keeping you up at night? What are the things that you need to deliver to your leadership? When you ask those questions, you are going to get a wealth of information back. And then it's your job as the leader, as the CEO, to kind of take that information, take that chaos, and become what I like to call anti-fragile, where you actually benefit from it. It's not that you're going to, you build resiliency or that you're strong. It's that the chaos and the kind of the uncertainty, the stress is you're using that to become better, to improve, to continue to evolve your business, which is exactly what we did. And even today, as we talk about this like costing element, so we can tell you what your manufacturing cost is, what your labor cost. We'll incorporate your specific bill of material. We'll localize your labor. We'll localize the commodity prices. So you'll know exactly from each country, what is the price for each one of the commodities for the bill of material for that specific product that you're buying, right? All of that came from listening to the market, listening to our clients, and being able to see where are we going, what's the need of tomorrow, what's the need of procurement, and how can we support the industry? How can we drive value? How can we make the best even better?
Now, who does that responsibility sit with to hear the customer? Is it CS? Is it product? Is it you as the founder and CEO?
It's part of the fabric of our organization. So I really put it as the foundation of, CS. If CS is hearing something, they bring it up to product, they bring it up to me. If I hear something at conferences, We've got, weekly meetings where we plan out what are the priorities. Like we have, priorities for the quarter, priorities for the year, but then even for the week, especially in early stage growth companies, it's really important to get everybody kind of marching in the same way, even if things get kind of crazy along the way, because we can get pulled in so many different directions. So every week we stand it up. And if you hear something CS, you bring it up. If I hear it at conference, I bring it up, and we have space and moments where we can have these discussions and it's celebrated instead of being one of those, oh my gosh, here we go, another thing that we've got to deal with. It's like, that's really great insights. Let's talk about it. Does it need to be something that we need to have a more kind of strategic conversation about? Or is it something that you're just going to kind of be like, okay, that's good to remember. If we hear this trend again, if we hear this comment again, then let's make sure we elevate it again, right? And so it's really about setting that expectation from the beginning with your whole team that learning things is the best, and adjusting as we learn is the best recipe for success.
I think that that's a great analogy. We see it in our context in growth or scale up businesses. We have to get comfortable with change, and the people that thrive in these businesses are comfortable with change. Businesses that we're working with also are those that are comfortable with change because they're early adopters. They are the ones that are at the front of the bell curve. I think that change and a comfort with it is going to be necessary to be the winners of tomorrow, right? Those that do invest through times that are turbulent, if you'd like to put it that way. I'm curious, as a CEO and founder, what are you spending your week on? What does your week look like? If, there's other procuretech professionals and founders that listen into the episodes, what are you spending your time on?
Yeah, I will tell you, it's not as revolutionary as it sounds, but I focus on every day creating 3 to 5 priorities that are going to help move the business forward. And so I'm not planning on boiling the ocean or doing anything crazy. I'm planning on maximizing my time to drive value for the company. Sometimes that means going to conferences and getting in front of people. And sometimes that means, sitting down and making sure that what we have promised to a client is exactly what we deliver. But it's 3 to 5. It's not 100. It's not 50. It's 3 to 5 things that I need to get executed today to move it forward. So I'm hyper focused on executing on those 3 to 5. And then each day I'll plan the next day, and I plan my weeks, and it's always 3 to 5. And I think that is key, is that as a CEO, as someone who's been, building, for the last couple of years, it can be really easy to let the world pull you in a million different directions. But as CEO, you need to just be obsessed with driving value, with how do I help grow this company, and how do I help get it to the next phase, the next stage. And so hyper vigilant on and just be hyper focused on, ruthless on prioritization is what I like to say. Be ruthless about prioritizing where you put your time. Because it's the most limited value kind of asset that we have.
Excellent to be able to hear kind of like that hyper focus on 3 to 5 elements, and the ability to be able to focus is so important. And again, I think it goes back to like the agility and speed piece that we talked about today. When it comes to what you guys are doing at Kloopify, for our listeners, and now we're at the tail end of the episode, so I apologize that we've taken so long to be able to get into it. What is kind of your next, chapter at Kloopify of what it is that you guys are looking to do, and this yes and piece that you spoke about before?
Yeah. It's stay true to our core, which is to build for procurement, by procurement, to bring the greatest technology, the bleeding edge of what's happening to the day-to-day lives of a procurement professional. My dream is one day that you log into a Kloopify system and right away you've got intelligence that's telling you, here's where you should focus, here's why, here are your potential disruptors, here's where you can have, 20% savings because the price of aluminum, every supplier came to you and asked for an increase, and now it has been decreasing for the last 3 quarters. So you have an opportunity to save $50 million. Here's an opportunity to drive kind of carbon reductions and to achieve your sustainability goal, to really take the foundation and the algorithm and the data that we have at Kloopify, build intelligence on top of it, and make the life of procurement professionals even more effective, to continue to build on the shoulders of kind of incredible legends throughout the procurement kind of history, and elevate it to the C-suite where it belongs and continue to be that strategic function by driving cost savings, by building resiliency, by giving you visibility, by leveraging data as your storytelling mechanism. The future is continuing to elevate the function.
Love it. Now, we all have that kind of fanboy or fangirl within us. I know that I'm a fanboy to a lot of different businesses out there. If you see other, organizations to the left and the right of you, obviously, as a founder on a journey, you have to put those blinders on so often. And like you said, be hyper-focused on your race that you're running. But what are some of the businesses, whether that's in the procuretech space or, other adjacent categories of SaaS or AI that are really exciting you right now that you look at and you say, they're doing something interesting, I'm going to take note?
Yeah. There are a couple that I find really interesting. One of them that I've just recently learned about and have been kind of really caught my attention was a company called Sligo AI. I think they're a new group of, it's a new team, but they've shown that they can drive value really quickly with this kind of agentic AI workforce. I also really love to keep along with some of the greatest kind of AI practitioners. So I think Patrick Monroe from Google is a name that I would follow. He wrote a piece called AI Agents. And so if you haven't read that, I would read it because I think it's really interesting. And selfishly, I'm a huge fan of what we're building here at Kloopify. And I would be doing us a disgrace if I didn't kind of mention that. I'm really proud of what the team has done, what the future holds for us, and the value that we can unlock for procurement professionals by leveraging AI, but by focusing on solving the problems for procurement and not being obsessed with this kind of new technology.
Yeah, I think that that's so important, right? Problem and solution first, technology second. Daniela,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your precious time out of your day to be able to be on with us and share some of your insights. It's so nice to be able to get an update as well of what's going on at Kloopify as well. Like you said, it's obvious that you guys have your ears to the market, to your customers. You're building by procurement for procurement and staying steadfast to that. And it's awesome to be able to see. Before we let you go, I would love just some quick fire questions. Absolutely nothing about anything procuretech and everything about you, Daniela Osio. Okay. Sound like a plan?
Yes, let's do it.
You have a all expenses trip paid. You're leaving tomorrow. You can be able to go by yourself. You could be able to take friends and family. Where are you heading?
I would take my family to Fiji. Like a full expense paid family, husband, parents, siblings, do a full Fiji trip.
Very nice. Is there a book or a podcast, professional or personal, that is near and dear to you that you're always going back to?
I think it's called The Midnight Library. And if you haven't read it, it's a very kind of powerful emotional book. So trigger warning for those that could feel like strongly when you talk about really heavy emotional topics. But the core of the book is to kind of live in the moment, live for everything that happens, the good and the bad, and all of the good and the bad brought you here to this moment. And so you should seize it, welcome it, thank it. And I kind of really I'm gravitating to that book. I've read it a couple times.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time today to be able to speak with us and share so much knowledge. If people want to be able to get in touch with you or get in touch with your team at Kloopify, what's the best way to be able to do so?
Feel free to just follow along too on our LinkedIn. So you can find me on Daniela Osio on LinkedIn. You can find Kloopify, Kloopify on LinkedIn as well. Or you can just send us an email, hello@kloopify.com. That works perfect. My DMs on LinkedIn are always open, and I kind of love to interact with people that way. So feel free to send me a note, and I look forward to keeping in touch, Sam. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on. And if you're not following Daniela on LinkedIn, you have got to. She is bringing pretty much that TikTok vibe that we all love to be able to doom scroll or love scroll onto LinkedIn. And it's fantastic content. So thank you for sharing some of that content with us today as well, Daniela. Appreciate it.
Thank you.